Hey, Dr. John Finn here. Welcome to the Habit Mechanic podcast. Right now, you can get my new best-selling book, Train Your Brain for the AI Revolution, at tougherminds.co.uk. The digital book, audiobook, and physical book are all available at a special price that you won't find anywhere else.
Hello, Habit Mechanics. It's Dr. John Finn here. I hope you're having a fantastic week so far. We've got some exciting news. Today, we are launching Habit Mechanic Coaching, where we are going to help you to build new super habits so you can save over 3 hours daily. We've been coaching our clients for many, many years now, but only ever when we're working with businesses and we're doing large-scale programs where we'll be running change programs, we'll be running workshops, and running coaching actually inside the business. But now we've decided to make our coaching available to everybody. Increasingly, people have been asking us if we can offer them coaching, and now we can. So from today, we are going to be coaching people to become certified habit mechanics in our 3-month one-to-one high-performance coaching program. And when you become a certified habit mechanic, you learn how to use the full habit mechanic toolkit. So you can get all those powerful tools working together. That's going to allow you to build between 2 to 3 and even more super habits so that you can do 2 to 3 extra hours of high charge, high impact work per day. That's going to allow you to be able to do the equivalent of 8 hours worth of work in about 5 hours. And you're going to achieve that by building better sleep habits, better stress management habits, better productivity habits, and everything else that we help people to do. Look, we know that people are struggling. We know people are increasingly struggling with feeling overwhelmed, with poor quality sleep, with brain fog, with imposter syndrome, with procrastination, with lack of focus. And it's getting worse. We can see this in the Western world and globally that people are struggling. In the UK, we've got over 20,000 people a month being signed off on the sick from work onto disability benefits with anxiety and depression. That's not because those people are not trying to be at their best. The problem is the things that they're being told to do don't work. They're fundamentally flawed. We talk a lot about this in the habit mechanic approach, that the standard approaches to helping us to be our best, whether that's self-help or coaching, are fundamentally flawed because they assume that just by getting us to know what we need to do to be at our best, we'll be able to do it. If we can get people to know how to think more positively and they agree that's a good idea, they'll be able to do it. If we get people to understand that it's a good idea to walk 10,000 steps and they agree with it, they'll be able to do it. People not doing these things, just in the UK alone, is costing the UK economy about 100 billion per year, and it's getting worse. The problem is that the approaches, the models that we've been using to help us to be at our best were created a long time before we understood how brains actually worked. And CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is a fantastic example of this. This isn't not a slight on the fantastic scientists that do the work in that area or the practitioners. I've got 3 psychology-related degrees, and CBT was at the heart of all of them. But I quickly learned when I went into the real world, outside of academia, and I tried to put these things into practice, they were not very effective in helping people to change their behaviour. I noticed a meta-analysis study just earlier this week or last week that was published in the last 12 months about the effectiveness of CBT or the ineffectiveness of CBT. So this study had about 60,000 people in it, and it showed that CBT had absolutely no impact on over 58% of those people. Yet that is being the thing that's preached to us that we need to be doing more of, but it doesn't work. I hear people tell me every day, yeah, CBT doesn't work. And that's often when they find the habit mechanic approach, they're telling me why it's different and why it's better and why it's actually helping them. And the core reason is that neuroscience has shown us, when we've been able to look inside human brains in real time, using technologies like functional MRI scanners, and we've been able to do that for about 20 years now. And the theoretical models that are driving most of the self-help we're using and most of the coaching, they were created probably at the earliest in the 1950s. Most of them were created way before that as well. So way before we understood how brains actually worked. When we understand how brains work, we see that brains are not consciously helping you to do what you know you should do. Most of the things brains do are subconscious, unconscious. In other words, habits. So the things that we're thinking and doing are habits. When I say don't think of a white elephant, you don't have to think about it. It's already in your mind, right? That's how automatic our thinking is. And what we can see, and it makes a lot of sense, is that it appears that the brain's number one operating rule, the rule that it prioritizes over everything else that it does, is to save energy. And the reason it therefore runs on habits is because habits are the most energy efficient way to think and do. And what we don't recognize is that habits are not just physical things like picking your nose or smoking or, not sleeping too well or staying up too late, whatever it is. Habits are also about how we think. So worrying and beating yourself up is a habit, telling yourself you're not good enough, you're useless. That's the foundation of imposter syndrome. The foundation of brain fog is also connected to habits. You're not doing the right things to get your brain working really well or to manage your activation levels. So when we understand that it's at a habit level, that then unlocks our ability to actually fulfill our potential, which we are all capable of doing when we actually understand how our brain works and how we can start building new habits. And we understand that habits are not 50% or 60% or 70%. We're compelled by big sets of compelling scientific data that show that habits are at least 98% of what we're thinking and doing at any given time. We have about 100 billion neurons in our brain, and all those neurons are connected to each other. So if you listen to people like the late, great Daniel Dennett, a fantastic scientist, he talks about the brain is a bit like a machine that has 1 trillion cogs whirling around every second. That's really hard for us to understand. We can understand what 100 looks like, or 1,000, maybe 100,000 or 1,000,000, but 1 trillion, we just can't get our head around that. But that architecture is running all the time, subconsciously. So that includes helping you to breathe, helping you to stand up, helping you to pick up your pen or to type on your keyboard. Our consciousness is tiny. It's just, you just think about what you're looking at right now. You've just got this very, very little bit of awareness around where your eyes are and the top, and you can kind of think about your prefrontal cortex, the bit of the brain that sits behind the eyes, the orbitofrontal cortex, and the part of the prefrontal cortex that sits on your forehead, things like the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. And that's where our awareness is. Everything else is just running on autopilot. So we can see that for every 50 processes running in the brain, at least 49 are automatic. That's where we get 98% from. But often we're just running completely on autopilot. People say, yeah, I wasn't thinking. Yeah, because you were running on autopilot. So, and some scientists would argue that consciousness doesn't exist, because by the time we get to something that we think is consciousness, it's so diluted by our biases and our habitual ways of thinking about things. And that's the other thing to recognize. Our belief systems are habits. They're not logical and conscientious. They're just what we believe. It's habitual. It's our instinct, if you like. It's our thinking instinct. So we've got loads of we've got loads of approaches that people have been told to use to help them to manage their unhelpful ways of thinking and doing, their habits, but they don't work. It's the equivalent of firing a pea shooter at a tank. It's not going to stop the tank. It's not going to stop those destructive thoughts you've got in your head. It's not going to stop your destructive procrastination habits or your really poor quality sleeping habits or all the habits that are making you stressed. So what we need is a different approach that is based on cutting edge neuroscience and behavioral science. And that's why we created the habit mechanic approach. And now we've got habit mechanic coaching that anybody can access. And what we've learned is that, a really helpful way to think about every 24-hour period is it's a bit like a barcode. So there are 24 hours in a day, that's all we've got. There are times in the day where we are thinking and doing things that are helping us to be at our best. There are helpful habits that sometimes we call as our super habits. And there are other times in the day where we're thinking and doing things that are getting in the way of us being at our best. That's what we call our destructive habits. And we can think of, if we go back to the barcode idea, we can think of the blue lines as, if we have a blue and a red barcode, we can think of the blue lines as times in the day when we're thinking and doing things that are helping us to be at our best. And we can think of the red lines as times in the day when we're thinking and doing things that are getting in the way of us being at our best. And what we've learned is that people have an awful lot of red lines. In other words, an awful lot of destructive habits. And that for some people, those destructive habits are meaning that every day they're losing more than 4 hours of them being at their best. And even if you add that up, that's over 80 hours per month of you having focus, clarity, being at your best. The other end of the continuum, even when people think they're really nailing it, we've worked with over 20,000 people now, we learn that those people, they are still often losing about an hour a day of them being at their best. That's over 20 hours a month when you add it up. And all our work is designed to help people to get rid of those red lines, those destructive habits. And the way we help people to think about that is that their brain is a bit like a battery. I mean, our brain literally is like a battery. It runs on chemicals and electricity. And it only has so much charge in every 24-hour period. And what we see is that people are operating in 3 core brain states. So they have 3 different brain states they're operating in every 24-hour period. They've got the recharge brain state, the medium charge brain state, and the high charge brain state. And if we just revisit each of those, so the medium charge brain state, the recharge brain state, this is where we sleep, but we can also do non-sleep recharge, which might include eating, relaxing, switching off, some forms of exercise. Our medium charge brain state is where we do our fairly mindless routine tasks that don't really require conscious thought because we already know how to do them. So that's our busy work. And increasingly we're doing more and more busy work where we get to the end of the day, we've worked longer, but we don't feel like we've achieved anything and we beat ourselves up. We'll come on to that in a sec. That's the medium charge brain state. We all have medium charge tasks to do every day. And then the high charge brain state is where we do our really focused, clever work. It's like our laser focus for peak performance, where we are innovating, we're creating new ideas, we're solving problems, we're even working on ourselves to build new habits. And what we've learned is that people that are really nailing it, their brain state profile, so what I mean by that is the amount of time people spend in each of those brain states throughout a 24-hour period, it looks a bit like an arrowhead or a triangle. The base of the triangle is the recharge brain state. And we see that people that are really nailing it, they're spending 10, 11, 12 hours in a work day in that recharge brain state. Then they're spending maybe 7, 8, 9 hours in the medium charge brain state. And that means they're able to unlock 4 or 5 hours of high charge, laser focus, peak performance every single day. The reality is, most people's brain state profile looks nothing like that, because most people are just jumbling all those 3 brain states together. And when they think they're relaxing and recharging, they're not. They're on medium charge because they're scrolling on their phone, getting overly stressed about something they're seeing in the social media feed. Often when people think they're doing high charge work, they're actually doing medium charge work because they're not laser focused for peak performance. They're multitasking, they're checking their email on the phone and back to the task that they think they're really focusing on. So people are just jumbling, they're multitasking, and therefore their brain state profile is dominated by the medium charge brain state. So we call it the cross the bear profile. It's like a cross. The middle of the cross is the medium charge brain state. And people just spending most of their 24-hour period always on, always busy, always going, always whirling, but never really getting anything done. And that means that they're not able to spend enough time in medium charge brain states, in recharge brain states, and they're barely ever able to get into high charge brain states. And that's problematic for 2 reasons. One is it's a recipe for being unhealthy, unhappy, and underperforming. Nobody wants to be unhealthy, happy, and underperforming. And also it's problematic because AI, especially the new generation of AI, which is, we're going beyond generative AI now, we're moving on to agentic AI. So AI that will do your jobs for you, your medium charge jobs for you. It can do the medium charge work far more effectively than we can. So we will increasingly be valued in our own businesses if we work for ourselves or in the businesses that we work in by our ability to consistently get into the high charge brain states. The people that are best at consistently getting into the high charge brain states will be the healthiest, the happiest, highest performing. The businesses with people that are able to consistently get into the high charge brain states will be the businesses that win in this challenging, complex world that we live in. So what we're offering in our habit mechanic coaching, and when we're training people to become certified habit mechanics, and that's a 90-day one-to-one coaching program, we are training you how to build that optimal brain state profile. So it looks like a triangle or an arrowhead and not across the bear. So this is what we can offer, and we've done this time and time again, and we're really excited now to make this available to everybody. So we have an exciting offer, and the offer is, for a limited time only, is that you can train or get coached to become a certified habit mechanic over a 3-month period, over 90 days. You get daily support. You get one-to-one coaching. You learn how to destroy your destructive habits, build 2 to 3 and more new super habits, do an extra 2 to 3 hours of high impact, laser focus, peak performance work every day. That's going to allow you to do the equivalent of 8 hours work in 5 hours. You're going to learn how to use the full habit mechanic toolkit. You're going to be able to build better super habits around your sleep, your stress management, building up confidence, so you can destroy imposter syndrome, super habits for focus and productivity, so you can destroy brain fog, and even better super habits for leadership if that's helpful for you. So normally, and we see this program adds, it boosts your market value either to your own business or to the business that you work for by over 20%, because these are the skills for the world that we live in, and nobody ever taught them to you before. So that's what you're going to get. So normally we're going to charge £3,000 for that program, or $3,800. But right now, for a limited time only, we're offering a 70% discount. So you can get that full program for £887 or $1,117. So that's only £73 per week, or $93 per week. And we also offer 100% satisfaction money back guarantee. So literally, if you get to the end of the program and you're not happy, we'll just give you your money back. So there's no risk involved whatsoever. We launched the program this morning. We've already got people signed up to it. So we've only got a limited number of places. So if that's of interest to you, if you want to destroy your destructive habits, build more super habits, save over 3 hours per day, feel great about yourself, then get in touch, contact us via the website, and we'll get you signed up to the program. Remember, it's 100% money back guarantee, so it's absolutely no risk. So yeah, a bit of a different podcast today, but I was really excited to launch Habit Mechanic Coaching, and you'll hear more about Habit Mechanic Coaching in the coming weeks. But if you want to become a certified habit mechanic so you can deploy the full toolkit, get guided by an expert habit mechanic coach, then get in touch, and it would be great to hear from you. You can do it. You can achieve the things that you want to achieve if you know how. And we are going to show you how to do it. Because wherever you are in your life, we know that you're only ever one habit away. Thanks for listening to the Habit Mechanic podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe and tell someone else about one of the ideas or insights that you found most interesting.